shut down and restart. Good morning. Yeah, the base looks good. So I'll probably put in like a few hours this morning because me and my son are gonna go to our lake house today. So I'm gonna do the last little bit of sanding and give him one more final coat of primer and then call it a day. So I think I only have a few hours of work to do. But yeah, that filler primer. It was the key to getting that base to smooth out. Glad one you got it. And this is the last round of checking things over and getting after this round, whatever I missed, if I haven't seen it yet, won't be seen later. So. So much of me work is not very exciting. It's mostly sanding. It's mostly me sanding shit. So I find it interesting that people like to watch me work because it's really just 80% of it is sanding. His Trident had quite a bit, some pretty heavy supports on it. So try to get those off best I can. You need a little sander. It's got like a Dremel sander. It's got a little sponge circle on it that goes on the tip of your Dremel tool. I need to find something like that because that would, you could go in here and sand things easier if I had that, like a little attachment like that for my Dremel. I think Display makes one, but I just got to mail order it. Something's got some power to it. Decent sanding scratches here I need to get out. So I'm using a super fine sanding sponge, which is about 600 grit sandpaper, 600 or 700 grit sandpaper. Kind of here for my last round of cleanup. Those are pretty good. Come over. Supports off his face. Start painting on Monday. I'm gonna be out of town tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday, and then Sunday I'm getting together with my family. So we'll get this prep done today, and then Monday we'll start paint. So the seam on his leg didn't turn out the greatest, but I'm not gonna worry about it because that part goes black, and you're not gonna be able, it won't stick out so much. So I think it's okay by the time I'm done painting everything. This seam over here turned out pretty good. Actually, I thought it's still not perfect, but again, once everything's painted, it should be okay. like some little minuscule supports, but I'm gonna actually leave them on because some of these hairs are really fragile. I'm just gonna leave them on there. I don't think they're underneath the hair, so I don't think I'll notice them after paint. Coco, be quiet. For some reason, the sculpt there are a little some errors in the sculpt here and there. is ready for a bath. This last round of primer. Let's see, about as good as it needs to be for paint. Alright, well, I think I'm going to call this. These are never perfect, but if I can look it better than the factory, I'm a happy guy. Alright, I'm going to call that ready for the last bath of primer. Now it's just a matter of going over this base because there are some rust spots from the spraying. So basically it's just me going in here kind of getting all the rust spots out as much as I can. Some areas are harder to get to than others. It really needs a light sanding because I put a lot of primer on it. It did its job very well. What I did is after I got done spraying this and I let it flash off for the 15-20 minutes, my attic is right here to my left, and it's probably about 120 degrees in there because it's summer, obviously. So I stuck it in there for like an hour and baked it, and then I started sand on this yesterday. So during the summer I can actually throw stuff in my attic right here and I can bake things. Yeah, the primer was the key, man. It's like, it's expensive and I don't use it very often, but there's no way I could have gotten in here and sanded around all these little details. There's no way. So the only problem is that when you spray it, you're trying to get primer in all these little recesses. And it's really hard to do with a big, spray gun. Because what happens, even when I have the spray gun, the pattern like really small, it puts out a lot of material. So you're trying to spray this area and it floods the area around it and you get maybe some runs. But if you don't do that, you spray this area, you get really dry spray down here, which is kind of what I'm fighting with right now, is just some dry spray. And some of these, you can kind of hear it as I sand. So right here, no dry spray. Here, you can hear it, dry spray. So I try to get rid of that as much as possible. This is gonna go glossy in the end, so. I found out if you guys follow me on, if you saw my photos on Facebook, the close-up I took of it, that was before I did any sanding though, so that was really a raw print. It was a little bit better after sanding, but I put 3 wet coats of this primer on and it filled it in really well. Now that primer I would never use like on a figure because you would literally you would obliterate any detail that's on the suit or skin. So like something like this where it's just all smooth and wavy and things like that, it's really good. I wish I had another stick so I could put that out of them though. Put them in the trash I can pull out of. So I can make a super fine sanding sponge stick. Make a trip to I have some in this other room. I'll be back. This is a little thick though. That might work. Let's try it. Make a super fine sanding sponge stick thingy. I was really worried about this base for a while. But I think it's going to turn out really nice when we're done. I was stressing that over how bad it was. But as I sand here, none of the lines are popping out, which means I got enough primer on there to smooth it out pretty good. This is literally night and day from yesterday when I started. There's like a run right there. I got a little heavy with the primer. I'll sand that out. Basically just kind of giving this a wipe to kind of get if there's any dry spray, I want to get rid of that. And there's like only one or two spots that I really felt it, so overall this went down pretty good. It's a lot different than spraying a flat panel, that's for sure, especially with a really thick primer, because it doesn't stay wet very long. It starts to kick off pretty much as soon as it hits the surface. So you got to move quick and get it on. Because if you don't, you have a lot of dry edges in your application. Like when I used to do cars, you'd be surprised at how fast, not so much with color, but with primer and clear coat, how fast you put it down. You spray relatively quick. And of course it all depends on your settings and how you like to spray, but when I was like, the shop I worked in, a lot of the cars had single stage paint, so there was no base coat clear coat. It was a single stage paint. So it was a gloss paint. You'd spray it and let it cure for 24 hours. You could wet sand and start wet sanding it the next day. But when I did base coat clear coats, when I was doing clear coat, I would do a first coat would be relatively not dry, but a tack coat. And I just kind of get it on. You let that flash off or whatever the manufacturer says, and that just gives you a really good surface for the next flow coats to go on. And you start flowing it on. Next coat is a medium wet coat. You let that flash off, and then the last few coats are flow coats, and you put them on really slick. So you slow way down, and you go as slow as you can without running the clear coat. That's just some of the practice, man. There's a few times I had some pretty. I was trying to put it on way too thick, way too slick, and I got some serious runs. They're not fun to try to sand out, that's for sure. Well, this is just about there. There's a few little spots like way down in here that I can't really get to, and those are just actually that doesn't feel dry. Surprisingly. What's up, Kevin? I'm about to sign off, actually. I'm almost done sanding for the day. I was going to do the last little bit of sanding on here, and then sign off and get the last round of primer and everything, and that's it for today. And then I'm going to paint on Monday, since me and my son are going to go to our lake house today. And I thought about putting some paint on today, but I'd rather just save it till Monday. So on Monday, if I can get the skin tones on and I could get this guy probably painted in 2 days. If I get the skin tones done in 1 day and then the base painted in a day, then I can get the rest done. So yeah. I'm just going in. I'm using my hands to feel around and see if there's any dry spots. But I've got so much primer on this, I'm only sanding it through like in 2 spots, which is no big deal. I don't care if I sand through because I'm going to put on Stynel Res after this. But that primer, holy shit, man, it covered up all the little, not only did it cover up all the print lines, but it covered up any support marks or support indentations I missed. It just went on really, really nice. A few spots where I got some decent orange peel, but I'm actually not too worried about the orange peel. Again, this is not a show card, but by the time I gloss it all on, it's going to be really good looking. Even though it was just literally sitting on top, 2 things, because I had those surfaces perfectly smooth, the bottom of the top and the top of the bottom were perfectly smooth, so when they go together, it actually creates a little bit of a vacuum. And then shipping, you know, got probably warmed up a little bit from the heat. You couldn't get them apart. You kept trying to pull straight up on it. Like, no, you can't do that. You got to do lateral force. Like, just give it a few taps on the side, and it'll loosen itself up. There's a support mark right there I missed. That's the one I've seen so far. Yeah, we should get it. We're gonna go, you know, spend too much money on fireworks. We'll do some fishing. We'll go into the local town. You know, usually we pack a bunch of groceries and shit, but just as there's just the 2 of us, we'll probably just eat out most nights. We'll pack a bunch of snacks and shit, but. Of us. I bought myself a PlayStation Portal yesterday, so I can play my PlayStation 5 remotely. So I got that so I can take it to Lake House and give it a shot. I got 2 weeks to try it. If I don't like it, I'll return it. Again, just kind of feeling this over. See if I feel any rough spots, dry spots. I think I pretty much got this right down there. Dry. It'd be mostly the recesses that have the dry spots. Just from yeah, last year we were home for 4th of July, and of course my son wanted to go shoot fireworks, and my nephew. So we, you know, you can buy them all over the place around here. And I think in Texas, like it's legal to sell them, but it's illegal to possess. It's like the weirdest laws. Like they can sell them and stuff, but you're not supposed to possess them. So I don't know how that works. And there's, you know, obviously there's nowhere to fire them off around here. So we're just driving around out in East Plano, and we finally found like a back road. and like a gravel parking lot. So we start shooting them off in there. We're there for about, I don't know, an hour, and then the cops show up. And they're like, you know, you're on city property, right? And we're like, no. It's like, yeah, you're. This parking lot is the entrance to a park, and like, oh man, we're just looking for, somewhere kind of safe to light fireworks off. Like, yeah, you know, you're not supposed to be doing this. Like, yeah, but like, as fireworks are going off all around us from everywhere else, he's like, you know what? Like, just make sure you pick everything up, and then you guys are good to go. But man, he could have given me a huge, probably could have taken me to freaking jail. They were pretty cool. They gave me a warning, told me just pick off all my trash and stuff. So I told my son, like, yeah, we're not doing that again, because I almost got arrested last year. So that's why we're going to Lake House, because we can go down to the water. Our house is right on the water. We can go down to the shore and let them off there. No one bugs you. And you get to see all the fireworks from everyone else around you. You spend a lot more money than we do. And the fireworks, so it'll be fun. I'm gonna go get a fishing license. I haven't had a fishing license in forever. Sure, I haven't gotten any tickets fishing illegally. You, I had to take a phone call and I go use the restroom. You are a little annoying puppy dog. Don't be in my lap. This is super messy. Come here, I'll give you a little. Oh, you can't do that. Get word away from you, little shit. Oh my gosh, little stinker. Yeah, say good morning to everyone. Say good morning. Say I'm super needy. Yes. Too bad you don't know how to sand, Coco. Here, you should sand for me. You can get some little sanding pads on your paws. You get here. I'm gonna teach you how to sand. Get some sanding paws. Here, you can sand. You need to learn how to sand. I'd give you all the dog treats you want if you learned how to sand. Does that sound like a deal? Hmm? You really sound like fun, Daddy. You're silly. Okay, I think this is good. High-tech sanding tools here. There's like 2 areas that had really bad dry spray and I got rid of it. Literally taken care of. So I think that's it for the morning, guys. It's a super short stream, about an hour. Some more sanding. You get these everything another bath. Let it dry. Get some primer on it, and then Monday when I get back, we'll start painting. So Monday will be going to get the base done and the skin tones on. I think I can get it done in 2 days. Maybe we'll see. Maybe pushing it. Maybe 2 long days, but. I gotta get some primer on. I just spray the bones black. There's a big old support right there. I missed it. I missed that. Right there in front. Alright. That's it, boys and girls. I'm going to sign off.